Is that how we start?
Okay. Commissioner Novi,
Present.
Commission Chair Adams,
Present.
Commissioner O'Connor,
Here.
and Commissioner Parker. Here. Let the record show that we have a quorum with 4 members present and Commissioners Switzler and Kramer absent.
Great. Moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Great.
Ready, begin? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioner O'Connor. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda.
Thank you very much. Oral communications, are there any oral communications?
Yes, we have 3 speakers. First is Gerald Ann Kessler regarding the Melba project.
Fantastic.
I would like to speak about the potential density bonus project on Melba Road that is slated to take 175 mature trees, 30 smaller trees and native shrubs, and demo 3 beautiful historical homes built in 1938 and another home built in the 80s. We just learned from the Mobility and Traffic Commission that is estimated to generate 260 new daily trips. I know you told me you could not help me in my quest for preservation on this property 3 years ago. But when I look at your commission's mission statement, it says the Environmental Commission shall conduct public hearings and prepare recommendations to the city on matters regarding the environment to include without limitation, develop policy and plans to provide and advocate for the environmental protection of the city of Encinitas. This is just a blurb from my esteemed member about the onslaught of the density bonus projects in Encinitas. Cumulative effects on all fronts are being ignored. Traffic congestion, runoff, loss of habitat for our dwindling wildlife are piling on each density project. No one seems to be evaluating or factoring in the massive snowball problems being created by forced rapid density development with no requirements for infrastructure, preservation of wildlife corridors, and rare coastal sage habitat, no matter how small these spaces are necessary for wildlife and human survival. Our own physical and mental health are at risk. We hear how green space and trees are needed for human health, told we must plant more and promote native plants, but preservation is a no-go. That's nonsensical. The fate is of this partly rural suburban coastal town is in the balance and is quickly being sold out. Our 30 designated land high-density plans with endless waivers, heights, setbacks, parking, open space, and traffic are mostly an automatic approval for this council with the excuse of state law mandates, no matter how bad the effects are on the existing neighborhoods. Preservation mandate is necessary. If we don't make rules on preservations now, there is no getting back. Our tragic fate is sealed as just another soulless, lifeless, miserable, crowded, paved over city like up the coast. Please help the community acquire this property with soft green infrastructure funding, a bond or community funding. It has the potential as an outdoor teaching STEM lab for the area schools and the overcrowded Oakcrest Middle School, or an annex for the botanical gardens, or a park-like open space similar to San Diego Park. Please do not pass on this once-in-a-life opportunity. Little, if any, work would have to be done, unlike the heavy lifting needed for the Pacific View project to get it launched. I want to also let you know that restoration of the Ocean Hill Canyon is an amazing project that the community has embraced, and I feel that this property would be similar. The majority of the members of the community would support the preservation, unlike the very little supporting the houses squished in this small sacred land. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Ron Dashwood regarding an idea to reduce noise and exhaust pollution from residential waste collection.
Hello, how are you? Ron Dashwood. I've been a resident of Encinitas right up the hill here since 1996. I have kind of a passion for efficiency, so when I saw this opportunity that I think is being missed, I've spoken with several people about it and tried to get contacts to see what I could do to make it move forward, and I'm hoping you all can help me with that. The idea has to do with residential waste removal efficiency. And it's as simple as asking residential customers to put all their cans on the same side of the street on collection day. What this does, this provides the benefit of reducing exhaust, noise pollution, and wear and tear on our streets. With complete participation, it could dramatically cut the number of miles driven. As you can imagine, if they only have to go down one side of the street, they're cutting in half the miles driven each street that they have to go down. Even with partial participation, it will minimize the number of accelerations and stops that the trucks have to make. So that will bring efficiencies as well. It can be a voluntary program. It doesn't require complete participation to provide value, as I mentioned. If a truck just has to go down down the side of the street for one person who doesn't want to participate, yes, that extra distance had to be driven, but still, you've reduced the number of accelerations and stops that happened on that street almost by half. Yes, so it's a voluntary program. Doesn't require complete participation. The motivation's obviously environmental, so it minimizes exhaust, noise pollution, wear and tear on streets. And then for the people who don't care about the environment, there could potentially be a monetary motivation if EDCO then gives back some of the efficiencies, some of the money they've saved. How it works, basically, if it's if collection day is even day of the month, or the date is an even day, you put all the cans on the even side. If it's the odd day, you put it on the odd side. Keeps it really simple. Don't have to do a whole lot of planning. If that means too many cans are on the same side of the street, you can do gray on one side, blue on the other, green with one of the other. So basically what I'm hoping is someone can put me in contact with someone if you feel this idea has any potential to try to make it move forward. Thank you.
Crystal, are you allowed to just say what the best way would be to get that put into some sort of a process where it would be seen by the right staff member?
Yeah, I would be happy to do that. Probably the best person would be our staff member, Eric Steenblock. And if you'd like to email me after the meeting, and I'd be happy to give you his contact information. He manages our solid waste program for Public Works, and he's our direct contact with EDCO for the city. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And our last speaker is Jamie Gonzalez with BCK Programs.
Thank you. BCK Programs, their job is to go into schools and do environmental education. So I invited you guys to come to Oak Crest, and Commissioner O'Connor and Commissioner Parker, you guys joined us at Oak Crest to see the waste stations that were set up, and they were set up after spring break, so late April this year. So we've been working with the custodians there. The principal's been very supportive. All of Oak Crest staff has been supportive. And we have the ASB students involved because they're the leaders of the school. So what they did, a group of them put together this educational video about the waste stations, just to remind students about what goes into each bin. We're really promoting the organics recycling with the green bins. I know that SDA also has a waste station, LCC, and we're getting them going in the elementary schools as well. So I want to just mention their names. I was hoping they would be here tonight. Adelaide Mason, Piper Nelson, Jordan Ross, and Avery Craver. They were the producers of this video. They're the ASB students, and with the help of their teacher, Miss Hugh, they put this together. Thank you.
Thank you, that was great.
Very nice. And I'm sorry I didn't recognize you from that wonderful tour you gave us at Oak Crest. But I was like, I know her from somewhere. So then that was wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. That's it for oral communications.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for everybody for showing up. We do not have a presentation today. Approval of minutes will be the August minutes because we didn't have a September meeting. Anyone want to make a motion?
Yeah, oh, I have a correction.
Correction. Wow, exciting.
Yeah, because it said that I had talked about how UFAC was going to add Encinitas, or, young oaks or smaller oaks to the native tree ordinance. And we're not, however I said it, I didn't mean to imply that we're going to add anything to the native plant policy, that they are looking into it, and we have not finished this thing, but we are hoping to have at least some sort of resolution or something to encourage oaks. native
Gotcha.
oaks.
So you're referring to number 11, the second paragraph where it says Commissioner Parker informed the commission that UFAC is considering the addition of oaks to the native plant policy ordinance?
Right, we're not considering it as part of the native plant policy.
Gotcha. Okay. So. Yeah, how do we reword that? How would you reword that, Commissioner Parker?
Considering having, we're just looking at having some sort of, I don't know what you'd call it yet. We're not there yet. Potential, not an ordinance, potential
Policy?
policy. Is that generic enough or not meaning anything enough? But not adding it to the native plant policy.
Gotcha. So the UFC is considering.
Did you just strike the sentence?
Well, I think we need something there. And we could just get rid of that whole thing, but I think we want to. Yeah, you want to.
Yeah, maybe just after the, of Oaks to future policies.
There you go. Like it.
Future. You don't want to, got it. Yeah.
You don't want to give the impression it's happening in the current native plant policy.
Yes, correct. Thank you.
There you go.
Do we need a motion for that?
Yeah. I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Before we do that, though, anybody else have edits? Because we can do it all at once. Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the edit that we strike the verbiage after Oaks 2 and replace with future policies
There you
in
go.
the first sentence of the second paragraph on agenda item 11.
I'll second that.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Unanimous. Okay.
I guess the first time in my many years on the
I mean, that
commission
was
to have to
exciting.
edit the minutes. That was
Do
exciting.
we need to take a minute?
Exciting bureaucracy here, motion.
You can see how exciting our meetings are. Okay, number 7, informational items. Looks like we have a vacancy on the commission.
Yeah, I'll take this one. I probably should have been listed there as the speaker. So if you haven't heard already, we do now have a vacancy on the commission. Commissioner Morrison put in his resignation, so that space is open now. So there are now 6 commissioners on your commission. And that vacancy will be filled during the regular recruitment for all of our commissions, which will happen this December. So it's in just a couple of months. But I wanted to make sure the commission's aware that in the meantime, you'll be down a commissioner, so quorum for holding the meeting is going to be that much more important. So just wanted to remind you about attendance and making sure you can really try to keep this spot on your calendar to attend so that we don't have to cancel meetings.
Thanks, Crystal. Great. Let people know. Get the word out. Okay, moving to number 8, which is also you, Crystal. Action items, the work plan.
Yep, thank you, Commissioner Adams. Okay, so as usual, this item goes over your commission work plan, and I go over the updates that occurred between from now to the last meeting. So I'll just cover the items that we had updates and changes to. So the first project is our no smoking ordinance. So we've completed all the outreach with that. Staff has completed all the outreach. We are still waiting for the signs to be produced. I have heard from the manufacturer that they have been manufactured and they are awaiting scheduling delivery to us. So they're very close to being done. An exciting piece of this is that the County of San Diego Health and Human Services Agency actually stepped up and they're going to be paying for the production of the signs. So it's part of their mission to do outreach regarding no smoking in the community. And so this met their obligations, and thanks to Commissioner O'Connor for making that connection to the county and hooking us up with that. So we'll be saving a little bit of that money for other needs that the city has. And then under Project 5, which is related to the general plan safety element and associated climate vulnerability study, I wanted to update you that on August 9th, City Council adopted the safety element, and which included the climate vulnerability assessment. On Project 6, which is the mobility element, the update of the mobility element, the transportation modeling for this project has been completed, and that was completed in September. And so now progress can resume on the update itself, which is very exciting. Under item 7, these two items, 6 and 7, are related because the 5-year cap update was also reliant on that transportation modeling data. We needed the vehicle miles traveled data in order to generate our greenhouse gas emission inventory and projection out into the future for those anticipated emissions. And so the consultant for our CAP update has received that data and is currently in the process of developing the baseline greenhouse gas emissions inventory and those projections, and is working on a revised project schedule. They've estimated now that will be completed with the project in September of next year. It takes about a year to update our climate action plan. And I wanted to remind you that since this is kind of being resurrected now that we finally have the data, I'll be reaching out to the subcommittee on the CAP update to engage you on how to participate in the update. So that would be now currently Commissioner Parker and Commissioner Kramer. And just as a side note, what we'll do with this this update for the next version is remove the commissioners that are no longer with us. Project 9, which is the Green Building Incentive Program. I wanted to share with you that Nick Ryan, who is our new College Corps Fellow for the city, he's begun working on this project. So just a heads up to those that are on the subcommittee, we may be reaching out to you to gather information from you and get your input on how you might want to see the program be revamped. If you have the time, sometime in October or November would be a nice time to schedule a meeting and go over that. The next project is Project 11, which is the Sand Compatibility and Opportunistic Use Program. City staff has initiated the process to renew our Clean Water Act Section 401 permit for this program. The current permit expires in August of 24, which feels like a long time away, but it takes quite a while to actually get these permits renewed. So we've initiated that process so we don't have any gap in the program. And we anticipate that the renewal would give us another 5 years extension on the program. And that wraps up my updates and open the floor to any discussion or any additional updates.
So replacements for our vacancy will be at another time?
Yeah, the replacements for the vacancy, oh, you mean on your work plan?
Yes.
You're welcome to make those replacements now if you'd like, if there's any gaps that you see.
I was going to say on number 15, food service plastic ordinance, I know Commissioner Kramer, I thought she was present at a meeting, made reference to wanting to be on 15. I think she sent in an email asking to be put on number 15 along with myself, and then there'll still be a vacancy. So I told her I'd make that, since she's absent tonight, I'd make that request on her behalf.
Okay.
And then number 9, it's just interesting being the liaison to the Encinitas Chamber, of which any of us can be. They are working hand in hand now with the Green Business Network to figure out how to bring that in and get many of the members of that group certified to be green under all sorts of things, from products they use in the bathroom to shipping, receiving, their cafeterias, all sorts of things. So it's something that looks like it's moving along rather well.
Yeah, just for clarification purposes, that program is a little bit different than the Green Building Incentive Program. So
Okay.
the Green Business Network focuses on businesses in the community and getting them certified. The Green Building Incentive Program would be to incentivize homeowners, and I guess it could be businesses too, but to, for the most part, replace their appliances that are currently using gas to electric appliances, and then various other energy efficiency incentives like changing out their single pane windows for dual pane windows, adding insulation, things like that.
Solar.
So, yeah, so 2 different programs,
All right.
yeah.
And then on number 15, I wanted to do an update, again, with Commissioner Kramer now part of it. We've had some discussions on how to move that forward. Last year, City of Carlsbad passed an ordinance that appears to be an approved technique to have businesses use better products that are compostable and recyclable and can go into a digester. So that will be the work that we're planning on working towards, is to get that language from Carlsbad, see if it does really truly improve the one that Encinitas approved years ago, and if so, move forward with trying to amend it to represent what the industry has done in bettering products out there. So that's the update. It's coming.
Great.
We hope to maybe by next month to have it as an agendized item. So I guess I'll bring that up later.
Yeah.
Put it on the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Great. Anybody else? Anything that interests anyone that they're not on, that Commissioner Morrison was on? You can take a look at it and let us know. Okay?
Yeah, you can always let me know next month or between months, and I can update it and for you guys to vote on for the next time.
Great. Thanks, Crystal. Anything else on?
Nope, that was my update. If you're good with the update, then you can go ahead and approve it.
So I'll make a motion to approve the updated 2023 work plan.
I'll second. Commissioner Novy?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 It's approved. So moving on to number 9, no commissioner-initiated action items. Moving to 10, updates on items of interest to the commission, announcements by commission members or staff.
I have 2. Can I do 2?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of them is easy, and that is just that I received, just a request, for information to my work email, which is fine, about the status of the Bee City implementation and who, within the city staff would be somebody that the public can communicate with. So I don't think we need a presentation or anything like that, but is it possible to just read into the record at the next meeting whatever the status of that is, and who the appropriate person, just so that we can, at least through this commission, let the public know, who people can reach out to if they want to be involved as that moves forward.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can put something on the agenda and give a presentation on that.
If whoever's doing it wants to do it, that's fine. If they don't want to, and it's just, easy enough to do a 2-minute, here's the details, and, that's fine. And I can give a heads up if that's somewhere that.
Yeah, and what I can do, because there are 2 commissioners on that subcommittee, and then there's me as staff, so we can coordinate between the meetings and decide how we want to give that presentation.
Okay. And then the other one, which is a little harder, and I'm going to pull up an email so I can get it right. So former Commissioner Jim Wong reached out to me, but actually maybe even a few other people too, to say that he was looking through old documents and was a little nervous that the approved version of the update to the environmental policy that was done maybe 2 years ago, that enables this council to operate, may have had a typo in it.
Okay.
And let me, hold on, I got it here. But he wasn't sure if it was just like he had a bad version of it, and maybe, or if somehow like a little verbiage got truncated from the version that was approved, at least as he recalls it in this commission before it went to council for final approval. So just to be really clear, this is the CO 25, Encinitas Council Environmental Policy. And so specifically, he was concerned that the final version, page 2, item 9A, attachment 2, was missing the word biota among the key elements that the environmental policy should be for. And I'll forward you the email too, so you see
That'd
it.
be perfect.
But I just wanted to read that into the record because I wanted to, if that needs to be, either get back to him that, no, you found a bad version of it, it's fine, or, a typo happened, that's important, and we'll initiate a process to fix that with the council if needed.
Yeah, I would imagine if it was just a typo, we can just make the correction and repost it.
Okay,
But definitely send me the email and we'll look into it.
great, thank you.
And I've got one more, maybe 2 more. If you remember, a few months back, Commissioner Kramer and I were talking about plastic bags and trying to reduce the thicker film plastic bags that circumvented the state law back in 2014. And we were mirroring the Berkeley law that came out and actually went into effect in July. And it wasn't in the work plan, but we started the agenda report and then looking at how the steps to get it into the work plan through approval of us and then the city council. It was brought to our attention by another Surfrider volunteer, Janice Jones, that there is an existing law in the books that kind of circumvents any city to be able to manipulate the state law. And so through Crystal and the city attorney reviewing those ordinances and laws on the books, it appears that cities cannot make a change if they had their ordinance approved post-September 1st, 2014, when the state law went into effect. And one of the only things that they can do is potentially change the price of the bags. And then what we're seeing is a lot of the stores now, paper bags must be going above 10 cents. So they're only offering plastic bags, the 5 mil thicker plastic bags, as the only option. I guess they must be cheaper than 10 cents. So what Berkeley, and we're discussing between Commissioner Kramer and myself, instead of trying to force this into the work plan, to raise the pricing of plastic and paper bags in this city to a point to where it's actually a head scratcher, to where I might as well buy a reusable bag instead of paying that price for a throwaway one, to let it sit until we go over our work plan next year in June and see if we can agree if it's something we want to work on. The industry may change. There's some threats of Berkeley being sued over their law, and apparently the one that they did, they've only gone after the businesses that weren't specifically listed in the 2014 state bag law. So things like the CVS's and restaurants and things. So the big grocery store ones that are the bigger problem, they could not go after. And that was the interpretation, again, of the city attorney. So a lot to figure out between now and June of next year as to how to reduce plastic bags. So that's the update on that. It's going to be tabled for a while. And then to follow up on that, Surfrider's got a beach cleanup on the 21st, Saturday, at between 9 and 12 at Moonlight Beach. And one of the things we're asking the volunteers and public to bring are reusable plastic bags that will be donated to the Encinitas Community Resource Center's food program. They manage about 400 families that need a little helping hand that now get a plastic bag to take their commodities home. And so hopefully these bags will be used to reduce the plastic bag in our wonderful city.
Thank you. So I have a question on the plastic bags. We can't just charge for plastic bags, have a higher price for those, and not the paper?
I believe we could. It could be set up however this body decided to let it go forward.
Or to address what you were focusing on, there's an upcharge for if the millimeters are X thick. I don't know. It just came to mind, because your whole point was to reduce the thicker bag, right?
Right. So what happened was the state law abolished the thin single-use plastic bag, and then the plastic industry said, well, look at this. It's a bag that can carry 24 pounds, 175 times, 85 yards. It's some ridiculous judge of how it's no longer single use. So those 5 mil heavier bags meet that. So it's twice the plastic now. Nobody really reuses them. But we'll have time to just figure that out amongst us. So
Good.
Thank you, though.
Cool. Thank you. Anything else?
Can I ask, Mark, do you know if anybody else, any other cities have, raised the price to $1 for these bags or something like that?
I have not. We just had this discussion in the last week after the city attorney gave us his opinion. I'll look into it, definitely. Yeah.
And I my only question in the 11 was, if I'm on the committee for the presentations, the subcommittee, I don't know if I'm on the committee for the subcommittee for the presentation.
Is that in the work plan? Or?
No, we established that through another action. I know I'm on it. Who else is on it?
And I'm sorry, I don't recall. I'd have to look back in the record. Maria, do you remember who's?
I know Commissioner Morrison was. I don't remember who the third
Okay.
person
Yeah,
is.
because we need to get. Pardon?
So, I mean, it's really, it's just meant to save time. So,
Right.
I mean, it's the same process as before. Everybody can go out and, talk to people about who you might want to have.
I have two things for you.
And then, just I'm really happy to be the person, so email me, of course, maybe CC, Crystal or Maria, and we'll get it scheduled. And, if there's ever anything that would require us to bring back to the commission before we make a decision, we can do that. It's just meant to not have to have conversation within these meetings about it. So please just send me for now. And if anybody wants to join me on the committee, I am really open to that.
I don't remember.
Well, it sounds like
Assume you're on it.
Carol.
Let's assume you're on it, Carol. Okay. Great. I have one more, can I do one more announcement? Yeah. So just want to let everybody know that the San Diego Botanic Garden staff will be presenting on the garden's work under the Habitat Stewardship Program. So that's primarily the native vegetation enhancement at Cottonwood Creek Park. And they have been invited by the Parks and Rec Commission on next Tuesday, October 17th at 5:30 to present on that. And I think it's really nice that that's happening there because so many of these opportunities for habitat stewardship happen to be on land that the city's Parks and Rec Department manages. I would encourage anybody who's excited to learn more about that to attend that meeting.
Can you repeat the time?
October 17th, and that's next Tuesday at 5:30. And they meet in this room, PM.
Thank you, commissioners. Anybody else? Before we move on to 11? Okay, moving on to 11, future commissioner initiated agenda items. Does anybody have anything? I have one. And I want to see obviously, if this has any interest or if anybody knows of why we don't have any kind of bus system for the kids. I was telling a couple of the commissioners before the meeting that, I'm driving a freshman to LCC now, and I've noticed firsthand the amount of cars and how inefficient it is, and was frustrated. And I said, I'm on the Environmental Commission meeting. I think this might be relevant. So I just wanted to bring it up. I haven't really done much research on why we don't have buses. I heard it's because of money and other things, but just something that to me, and I don't think it makes sense for every school. My kids went to Parkdale, and a lot of people walk, to the elementary schools because they're close. And so I don't know if it makes sense, but for the high schools, I think it would make a lot of sense because I don't know how many, but if I had to guess, there's over 1,000 cars just at LCC every day dropping kids off. So anyway, unfortunately, we can't go back and forth but appreciate it. We'll be here after the meeting. Good. So I don't know, is that something of interest to the other commissioners?
It may be of interest. I think we should just acknowledge it's a school district issue primarily.
Okay.
Unless the city of Encinitas is going to decide it wants to fund the school district to do that.
Gotcha.
So, personally, from an environmental perspective, I agree. It's ridiculous that there aren't school buses. I know it's a big cost issue, and a lot of Californian places got rid of them years ago, and
Gotcha.
they're expensive. But something being expensive is not a good reason not to do it necessarily.
Yeah.
For a variety of reasons, traffic, pollution and whatnot. But, officially, since the city doesn't operate the schools, it
Right.
But doesn't mean we can't talk about it. So I would just encourage, if we are going to talk about it, that we do our homework and try to understand what a potential city action, could be.
Yeah.
And how that would dovetail with the 3 school districts that operate in the city of Encinitas.
Yeah, good point. Did you have something?
I know that San Diego School District, they have a really hard time employing bus drivers. There's just not enough. So that's been a real problem. And I think that's been a real problem countrywide, actually.
Cool.
I think they're going towards electric buses in some areas, so that's another reason why it would help.
I just happened to be in a meeting today with a Y, and this came up, and they let us know that it costs $180,000 to get a bus. That's the first cost, and then at least for them, and then it's about $80,000 a year per bus driver.
Gotcha.
So there are very, very significant expenses. Again, that shouldn't be the big deal, but if we're going to talk about it at this level, are we really talking about the city funding the school districts, or what would the model be.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, just from not even the environmental standpoint, just the congestion that it causes.
Right. Well, that, I mean, maybe it's a special meeting with the traffic commission, or, I mean, like, maybe that's
Yeah.
we should do some conversation in the back.
Yeah, I think you're right. The first kind of call would be to the school district to see what's up with that. Cool. Anybody else? That's all I had. Okay. Well, that's it. On to 12, and we're adjourned. I know you didn't like using this, but.